Hey. Okay, you guys. So this is just like fair warning that I feel like this live is probably going to be a little bit long. I have a lot to say today. I have a lot to say on all the subjects that we're going to be talking about and covering today. I've had some really exciting and really epic stuff happen to me in the last 24 hours that I'm excited to share. Hey Chelsea, hey Casey, hey Sarah. And so, yeah, and plus, you know, I think this one is just such a big one for me anyway, because I think there's nothing more important than following our soul's calling. Yeah, it's gonna be so good. I can already feel it. That's why I had to get like completely ready. I was gonna come on like with my hair in a ponytail and my workout clothes, but then I was like, no, I'm gonna actually shower, allow how I really connect into my soul and hear my soul is in the shower, because water is a big conduit to me. So I, you know, go in the shower and I get divine guidance and inspiration. And so I was like, I'm gonna take the time to take a shower and get myself put together, as I really want to deliver. I think this message is really important. And literally, of all the modules in this mini program, so this is, I don't even know what day, 3 or 4 of the mini program Abundance, New Paradigm Wealth Creation that we're doing in this free group, Rich Abundance. And hey Leslie, hey Sarah, I'm so glad you're staying, Sarah. Of all the topics that I decided to cover, this one is probably the nearest and dearest to my heart and the one that I think is the most important. And so, you know, this live stream is going to be a mix of things. Part of it's going to be, I want to share with you how I got to this place where I decided to live divinely led and divinely guided, and how I really actually recreated that deep connection with my divine soul. So that's going to be part of this live stream. And then I'm going to talk about how I hold that connection to my divine soul, and how I know when my soul's talking to me, and how not only do I listen to it, but hey Leah, not only do I listen to it, but I fully go all in when it calls to me. And it's, you know, it's interesting how the world works, right? Everything happens in divine timing in my life, and I believe that so much and so wholly. But these modules were actually planned out. Geez, Maria, when was it? I'm going to look in my book because I want to see how long ago we planned out these modules. In March. So the beginning of March, these modules for this mini program were planned out. And so I had no idea, and they're literally in sequential order. So I have a list of them, and I just, every time it's time to do one of these, hey Emma, anytime it's time to do one of these, I just go to the list and I'm like, okay, that's what I'm meant to talk about today. So it is complete, it's definitely confirmation for me, which I'll talk to you guys about that too, because confirmation is really important, that I actually know that I'm speaking with my divine soul. It was huge confirmation for me this morning when I opened my notebook and saw that today was talking about soul. So this live stream is about answering the call of your soul. It's about what is your soul calling you to be. It is how to show up empowered when you receive those callings and you receive those messages, because something really epic has happened in my life in the last 24 hours, and I'm excited to share that as well. And I'll be talking a little bit about it at the end of the live stream, but the purpose of this live stream is more to talk to you about how to understand when these things happen. So this entire live stream is going to be a story that's going to lead up to this thing that happened in my life. But through that, I'm going to use it as a time to teach and to share and to guide and to show you how amazing life can be when we tap into that calling. that soul calling. When we focus on our divine connection to our divine soul, magic and miracles happen in our life every day. And then you have days like the last 24 to 48 hours when all of the messages that you've been receiving that you haven't understood for the last, for me, I think it's probably the last 6 months I've been receiving a set of messages, and I know enough to know that it's just like, I just pick them up. I pick them up like the precious little gems that they are, and I don't know what they're going to form, but I pick them up, and then I go and I put them away for safekeeping in my journal usually, right? And they just wait there until, because I'm not always ready to receive the whole thing. So I pick up these little gems and I go and I put them in safekeeping, and then I have the time, like the last 24 hours, when all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's all making sense. The 15 signs that I've been given over the last 6 months all make sense. It all comes together today in this moment. So I'm really excited about this live stream. I'm really happy that you're all here. I hope that you guys can all hang with me through it. And certainly if you need to leave, like, please come back so that you can hear till the end, because I think it's really important that you understand like how this whole process works. So I guess I want to start by saying that, I have at some level always been connected to the divine, but I really tried to shut it out for a long time. I tried to shut it out for a long period of my life. And even in those times, I had my claircognizance, or my clear knowing gift, was so strong. It was like I literally could never completely shut it down. And so I've lived a life of divine guidance. I've lived a life of divine timing, I guess, really more than anything. Like, I've always just known. And all of this really started to make sense to me also as I started diving into human design, because I am a splenic authority. So I literally am, it is my purpose in life to be led by divine timing, and to be led by my splenic knowing. And so that's something I think that, for me, I struggled with for a long time in my life, and now at this phase in my life is something that I'm beginning to master. I'm beginning to really understand, and I know that feeling. I know that splenic hit, and I got that splenic hit the last 48 hours, and it was like, and this time it was probably the most powerful I've ever felt it. It was like being knocked over. It was so powerful, like, whoa. But everybody has this. Everybody has a form of intuition, right? Everybody has a form of knowing, and everybody has the ability to tap into and know and hear the calling of their soul. So I went a long time of like trying to like not be in this world that I'm in right now, not be in the spiritual space. I had a mother who was highly spiritual, and she was a hippie in the 70s. She was highly spiritual. She was a student of all types of religion. And so I grew up around all of that. And there was a period of time in my life where I rebelled against it and I wanted nothing to do with it. And then, like everything, it comes full circle. And, now I'm here in a spiritually based business, in spiritually based communities, and, absolutely wildly obsessed with what I do. I love my life. But I'm also a very type A, controlling, obsessive personality. I am a very strong personality. I want things to go my way. I think I know best most of the time. And my stubbornness and maybe not even stubbornness, but my strong-willedness has really gotten in the way in my life of a lot of success. Because for me, even though I was receiving divine guidance, even though I was receiving intuitive hits, even though my soul at times was shouting at me, my mind always thought it knew best. And so even after I started this business and began, listening more to soul and being soul-led and being soul-driven, it was always a negotiation with my mind and with my ego, because I always thought I knew better. So even though I'd be directed to do one thing, I would be like, okay, but I can make it better. Let's just tweak it like this and then put the offer out like this. Or let's just price it like this because that price doesn't seem like it's really the right thing, right? So I questioned and I doubted my soul. And every time, I'm just gonna say this right now because I think it's important for you to hear this. Every time you question your soul, every time you receive divine guidance from your soul and you do something differently, it's like a little piece of your soul dies. Like, it's like stabbing your soul in the heart with a spoon. And when we go through life constantly and continually saying no to our soul, the voice becomes quieter and quieter and quieter. It's always going to be there. It's always going to show up for you. But we get to places in our life where that voice is so quiet that we can't even hear it anymore. And then it takes some work and it takes some time to rebuild that connection. So while I was dabbling in being divinely led, while I was dabbling in being soul led, I still thought I knew better. And as a result, what was happening in my life and my business? Well, my marriage was a mess. I was literally on the verge of divorce. My relationship with my older two sons was horrible. I was doing all the things that I thought I should do to be a perfect mom, and my personal relationships were falling apart. I was struggling and estranged from my family, and didn't understand why. And my business, while very successful in online terms as far as where I was and what I accomplished, was completely having this roller coaster like inconsistencies. So I'd make a ton of money one month, and then the next month I wouldn't even make enough to cover my expenses, and then the next month I would make tons of money, and it was just like, it was like my whole life I was on a roller coaster and I couldn't get off. And I would receive the divine guidance, and then I would be like, well, no, I know better, so we're gonna do it this way. And I remember it was, and previous to this, the couple of years previous to this, my entire life had imploded. And so if you've been following me for a long time, you know that I had some very successful addiction treatment businesses that completely imploded. We lost $3 million, a home, a car. We were 3 hours away from being homeless. We ended up at almost $1 million in debt. Like, it was a pretty significant implosion, right? So the business imploded. Then I built this business from scratch, from zero, from negative. In fact, I had negative dollars when I started this business. On paper, I actually still have negative dollars, but that's another story for another time. We're still working through all that debt and all of that tumultuous implosion from that business, right? But the important part of this is that I'd been saying no to my soul for a long time, and I had my spiritual reawakening, and I had been back connected to my soul long before my business imploded. And so I had been hearing my soul and saying no to my soul for several years at this point. And my soul, I think, was about sick of my ass. So we were living in this, we had lost our home, so we had moved into a townhome, which I actually ended up loving, and so much healing took place there. It was this amazing, amazing townhome with like all this beautiful greenery, and the townhome community had a swimming pool. And I remember laying in the swimming pool one day. I had finished my morning client calls, and I was laying out in the swimming pool. Water, as I said, is a conduit for me, and I started getting divine guidance. And immediately my strong-willed, ego, stubborn ass was like, oh yeah, but it would be better if we did it like this. And something happened, something shifted in that moment where I was exhausted. I was exhausted from fighting myself. I was exhausted from my internal battle of like my soul trying to guide me and my mind trying to talk me out of it. And literally, it was like my soul voice was so loud in that moment. My soul voice in that moment was like, when are you going to surrender? When are you going to stop? How has doing this the way you logically think you should do it, how has it worked out for you so far? What are your results? What do you have to lose from just surrendering? And literally, I remember the moment, like I was looking up at the sky, there were like these beautiful clouds, like very sparse, but like really beautiful, fluffy clouds. And I was laying on this pool float and I was like, fine, I surrender. And in that moment, I surrendered my free will to my divine soul, right? My divine soul that ultimately knows all, ultimately knows everything, is infinite, is immortal, right? It is that highest version of myself that knows exactly what's best for me in every moment. And so in that moment, I surrendered my free will to my divine soul and to the divine, right? All that is. And I decided that I was no longer going to try to do things my way. That when I was directed to do something, I was going to show up and do that thing. And my life has been filled with nothing short of miracles on a weekly basis since that happened. And that was probably 3 years ago. 3 years ago? June 17. Oh no, 18, 19, 20. 2.5 years ago. About 2.5 years ago was when this happened. And I'm not going to tell you that it was completely easy. I'm not going to tell you that like I heard that soul calling and I made that commitment and I surrendered my free will and all of a sudden everything was magical from that point forward. No, I'm fucking human. I still battle my mind all the time. But I made the commitment to myself. I made the commitment to myself that I was going to live divinely guided and that I was going to follow my divine soul and its instructions. And so the first thing that I did was I committed to rigorous discipline in personal practices of things that would get me more connected to my divine soul so that I could actually hear the voice. So what is that? That's journaling, that's meditation, that's movement. You know, I mean, like that, those are your daily practices that you do that I'm constantly harping on and on and on and on and on about. And you guys are sick of hearing me talk about, right? But I made the commitment that I was going to show up in that way. And I wasn't going to show up half-assed the way that I'd been showing up, which was like, yeah, I would journal for 5 days and then I wouldn't journal for 3 days. And then I would journal for 4 days and then I wouldn't journal for 2 days. And I would meditate for a week and then I wouldn't meditate for a month. And so there were these pieces of me that like I wanted to be all in, but I wouldn't keep the commitments to myself. I wouldn't hold myself to the commitments. I was like always had a million excuses about why I couldn't. You know, and at the time, the excuses were pretty fucking valid, right? Like I was the sole breadwinner. I was, had a baby that was nursing. I was in total and complete like financial trauma because of what I had just experienced. I was, the president of the PTA. I was starting this business. I was working probably 14 to 16 hours a day. So I had a lot of really good excuses about why I couldn't. I don't know why this got dark. I was trying to see if I could make it brighter again. I had a lot of excuses about why I couldn't be consistent in my personal practices. And I just decided that all of those excuses were fucking bullshit. And I decided, because I knew, because literally my soul was telling me, you have to put yourself first. You have to put your connection to yourself first, because if you don't, nothing will ever change. And so I did. And so, you know, I created, as I do when I want personal accountability, I created a challenge called the 90-Day Soul Discovery Sisterhood, or Challenge. It was called Challenge at the time, then it moved into the Soul Discovery Sisterhood. And I put together a 90-day challenge where I brought in all these amazing coaches and mentors to mentor people and expose them to different forms of personal practices. And I committed to a 90-day practice, and that 90-day practice, you know, has stayed with me since, basically. And I'm not perfect, you guys. I do fall off. But for the most part, like I always bring myself back because I know how important it is. So that was kind of the first thing that I did, was that I decided that my connection to my divine soul was going to be my priority. And I didn't just decide it, I actioned it. I took the guidance and I actioned it. And then I started listening. And every time I tried to talk myself out of it, I would be like, nope, go sit down somewhere. Following soul. Don't care if you think that's not the right thing to do. I'm following soul. I mean, honestly, I probably looked a bit like Sybil for a while because I was like, and this is honestly probably the time where like my talking to myself, which I do all the time, by the way, you guys, came into play. Because it was this constant battle and negotiation. And, you know, so, I mean, like, it's not unusual to see me walking, like, if you were outside and you could look in my bedroom window to be like, fear and doubt monster, you're not welcome here. Get to stepping, right? So, it is what it is. But that's, you know, that's what was happening during this time in my life. It was a constant battle to get my ego and my mind to shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down for a minute and allow itself to be led. But the majority of the time I was winning that fight, right? The majority of the time I was winning the fight. The majority of the time I was winning out at following soul, and miracles started occurring. Miracles started occurring. We decided we wanted to move to Bali. We set a timeline for moving to Bali. Had no idea how we were going to make it happen. I had my first $100,000 launch, which was insane. Like I couldn't even like fucking comprehend that. And I didn't go into the launch thinking it was going to be a $100,000 launch. I had my first $20,000 day. And it was all from doing, because I was up until that point, I was trying to do everything I was told I needed to do. I was trying to be the perfect online businesswoman. I was trying to follow, you know, all the coaching advice and all of the advice that I'd been given. And at this point I was like, fuck that shit. I'm only following my soul. I'm only doing what my soul tells me to do. And I love doing live streams like this because again, like I'm sitting here telling you guys this and I'm like, God, these are such good reminders. And it's like, it reminds me again, right? Never take any action at all until you know the exact right action to take. And for me, that next right action is always at the guidance and behest of my divine soul, right? The next right action is always what my soul tells me to do. It's not what my mind tells me to do. It's not what I think is the best thing to do. It is always what my soul tells me to do. It was a little tangent. Sorry, I feel like I need some water. So miracles start occurring, right? Money starts going through the roof. The other thing that started shifting is my marriage started getting better, which at that point I was ready to write it off. Like I didn't think I was going to be married. If you had asked me then the chances of me and Sean staying together, I would have been like less than 10%. I just really, I mean, and people look at that now and they're just like, what? I can't even imagine that. But my relationship started improving. My relationship with my husband started improving. I was going through the spiral. I found the spiral. I mean, like life started dramatically shifting and changing. And, you know, 13 months later, we're in Bali. We're living in Bali. I've literally moved my family across the world, sight unseen, to a place we had never been before. And, you know, just began living this like dream fantasy life. And my community started growing with the most amazing people. And I was having huge impact in the world. And I was fulfilled like in a way that I had never, ever been fulfilled before. And so literally it was just that continual practice of saying yes to my soul and saying no to my mind, saying no to my ego and saying yes to my soul, that it was like every time I would do it, I would see the result. And the result, it wasn't taking a year. It wasn't taking even months. It was like, and here's the thing, like, I feel like I'm really stubborn. Like I need the Mack truck of signs every time. Like I'm a person that still needs to be reassured. I still need to know that I'm gifted. I still need to know that I'm divinely guided. I still need to know that I have my spiritual gifts. I mean, literally like 2 nights ago, had a spirit in my room, right? And then had a situation where Jack saw the spirit and, you know, had to deal with that and had to explain to him all of that stuff. I don't know if Leah, if you're still on, I actually was meaning to reach out to you about it because I wanted to run some things by you about how I've been trying to talk to Jack about it. And Jack was hilarious while the whole thing was going on, like telling the spirit to fuck off and stuff. I was trying not to laugh, but also like, holy shit, because I didn't tell him I saw the spirit. I didn't tell him I saw. He just woke up and saw. Anyway, I digress. That's a whole other story. But, you know, it is moments like that where I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I do see dead people, right? Like, because I haven't for a while. I haven't for months. And I was just like, maybe that was a fluke. Maybe I'm not really a medium. And God's like, oh, really? Here you go. Divine's like, oh yeah, here you go. Yeah, actually, you are. And not only are you, your son also is. So here you go. Have fun with that. But I do need the Mack truck of signs. And it's because in order for me to keep going, in order for me to be motivated to do something, I need to know it's going to work. I need to see the proof. I need to see the signs. So Leah, Dawn, if you guys aren't following her and don't know who she is, by the way, is an amazing, fifth generation medium. She's completely epic. She's an amazing woman to learn about your spiritual gifts from. And if you think you're a medium, like, she's your gal. She works really well with kids as well, which is why I was like, I need to reach out to her and talk to her about this thing with Jack, who's totally handling it in stride. Jack he did. Did you know that? Okay, I have to tell the story now really quick because it's fucking hilarious. He did tell the spirit to fuck off. He literally said the words fuck off. So he sits up in bed. So I get up to go to the bathroom. I come back, I lay down. As I'm laying down, I hear, help me, help me. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Because I have boundaries around, like, you can't come into my room at night. Can't talk to me in my, like, not in my sleep state. Like, if you want to contact me, it has to be, like, in the daylight hours. Like, I have all these fucking rules and parameters around how spirits can engage with me. Of course, I told you, I'm type A, I'm controlling. Like, I want things to happen my way. And I couldn't say no to fucking Soul and the Divine when I got the call to be a fucking medium, that I was a medium. I couldn't say no, right? I wanted to, but I couldn't because I was receiving the call. And so I was like, fine, I'll do it, but we're going to do it in these ways. Like, I'm going to put these parameters in place, right? So I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, no, I'm not talking to you. You need to, Jack thinks he needs his own show too. I'm not talking to you. You need to get out of here. If you want to talk to me, come back and talk to me tomorrow. I didn't realize that it was the dark moon, right? It was the night of the dark moon. But I was just like, nope, I'm not here for it. So then I was like feeling a little bit uneasy and I was like, oh, I don't like this. And so I laid down in bed and I went back to sleep. And then like probably 30 or 40 minutes later, Jack sits up in bed. This is a pretty common occurrence. Jack doesn't wake up, but he like sits up in bed. Sometimes he stands up. It's part of the reason why he still sleeps with me, because he walks. Like, he'll stand up and just start walking like he's gonna walk off the bed. So, needless to say, I'm still not getting great sleep anymore. Almost 6 years later after he's been born. So he sat up. I did fight it for so long. He sits up in bed and I'm like, so normal occurrence, I just look over at him because normally he's like got this glazed look in his eyes, and then he just either will lay back down or he'll stand up, and then I just lay him back down. So I was like kind of watching him, and then like he spins his head around at me and his eyes are like this big. And he's like, because he was looking off to the side. So we were in this bed. So he was looking off to this side and I was over here. And so he like whips his head around and his eyes are like this big. And he's like, Mom. And I'm like, what? And he's like, tell that man that we are not his enemy. Tell that man that we are not his enemy. And he needs to get out of here because we're trying to get some sleep. And I was like, what man? And he's like, that man. Tell that man to get out of here, that we're not his enemy. We need to get some sleep. And he like comes up and like lays his head against me. And at this point, I'm just like, holy fuck. And he lays his head against me. And I'm like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And he like, it's like he heard something and he like whips his head around and he's like, knock, knock, fuck you. And so then I was like trying not to laugh because I was like, oh my God, like he totally fucking told this spirit off. He was like, get the fuck out of here. And then he was like, Mom, tell him. And I was like, I am telling him, honey, I'm telling him in my mind. And I didn't want to like alarm him. So I was like in my mind, like, get out of here. You're not welcome here. Like, this is not the thing. And then I was like, so it was, my dad's urn is on the nightstand next to Jack, where Jack sleeps. My dad passed away earlier this year, or last year. Oh my gosh, it's been almost a year. That's fucking crazy. My dad passed away. And so I have his urn on Jack's nightstand and a photo of him. And I was like, so in my mind, I'm like, Dad, get here and fucking handle this shit. Like, this is not okay. And I'm like pissed at my spiritual team. I'm like, why are they letting this happen? Like, I'm all irritated, but I'm just like trying to like get Jack to go back to sleep, who he didn't go back to sleep, by the way. He stayed up for like 4 hours, and then he fell asleep in the morning and slept for several hours, but he didn't go back to sleep. And so the next morning, this is total digression. Like, this is not what this live stream was about at all, but it's good. It's good entertainment value. And also good for you to know, like, sort of what happens in my life. Like, this is literally like a day in the life of Leah Steele, right? So I'm exhausted because I didn't really get sleep after that. And so then the next morning, I didn't say anything to him because I wanted to just like let it be. So I went down and I got my tea, and he's down playing with the staff and like hanging out, just doing his thing. He's acting totally normal. And so I went in his room and I was like, hey, honey, and he was playing his game. So I was like playing a game, and he like looks up and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, so do you remember what happened last night with the spirit? And he goes, oh, you mean Grandpa Joe? And I was like, well, no, I thought there was another spirit that you saw, but did you see Grandpa Joe? And he was like, yeah, I saw Grandpa Joe. And I was like, okay, this is the first time he said he's seen my dad. It's the first time he's ever said he's seen a spirit, actually. But I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, but was there another spirit? And he was like, oh yeah. He's like, that mystery man that was trying to haunt me? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah. And then he just went back to playing his game, so I didn't push it anymore, and I just sort of left it with him. So I'm going to talk to Leah about like what I should say to him and whatever. But he's obviously fine with it, right? Like, he wasn't traumatized. It's like, oh, you mean that mystery man that was trying to haunt me? It's like, yeah, And it's interesting because up until this point, like for the last several months, I've been like, you know, I tell him he's magic all the time and that he has powers. He's been like, no, I'm not. That's pretend. That's not true. Like, he's in this really like defiant of the magic thing. So I was really like surprised by that this whole thing happened. Cause I was like, oh no, he's shutting it down. Even though we encourage it, you know, I was like, oh, he's getting to that age where he's shutting it down. So that's the Leah and Jory Jack spirit story. But I mean, it is relevant to what we're talking about here, because this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like, I need the fucking Mack truck of signs, not the little signs. Like, I literally need the spirit in my room waking my son up signs for me to be like, oh yeah, we are mediums. We do talk to dead people. We are magic. We can create magic and miracles, right? So it's the same with soul. Like, and yeah, I did call my dad and Leah, and I've been actually talking with my dad. Like, I've been communicating with my dad. It was like right at the 6-month mark, like you said it would be, of course, that my dad started coming through to me. Because of course we should all just listen. So anyway, that's the spirit story, that's that. But it is the thing where it's just like, I need the signs, I need the signs. So I don't want you guys to think that I just like decided that I was gonna live soul-led and answer the soul calling, and then everything was just like gravy and I had no doubts and I had no insecurities. Like, that's not the case, right? It's still the case. I still need the signs. I still need the big signs. What I will tell you is that GOG Universe Source, all that is, and your divine soul will provide you with those major signs if that's what you require. But it's like what Aaliyah is saying about they need the boundaries, the spirits need the boundaries, you can have the rules. It's the same thing. Like, you just have to say, this is what I need. I need major confirmation once in a while. I need to be reassured. I need to see results right away. So I was really lucky because and it wasn't luck. I shouldn't even say it's luck. I was really blessed, and I was really happy that I chose to foster and cultivate that connection with my divine soul, because I started to see immediate results and shifts in my life. And I live a beautifully abundant and prosperous and blessed life. Like, every day I'm filled with so much gratitude for this life that I've created. But it was created in partnership with my soul and listening to the calling of my soul. And I want to say to you guys that unfortunately, your calling of your soul is not always what you want it to be. Frequently, I don't want to do the shit that I'm called and directed to do. Frequently. And my strong-willedness and my stubbornness, it sometimes takes me a few weeks to agree. Because sometimes I'm just like, I am not doing that shit. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. That's not on my path. That's not what I want to do. And I resist until I don't anymore. So, it's a process. It's a forever long process, right? But we start the process by, one, it's like, the first thing I really want you to ask yourself is, are you the person right now that your soul wants you to be? Are you the person that your soul is calling you to be? Because I wasn't. Before I started this business, I wasn't. I was the person that I thought that I needed to be successful and to be perfect and to please everyone around me. That's who I was. That's who I was being. But I was not the person that my soul wanted me to be. Not one bit of me was the person that my soul wanted me to be. So, that's the big question from this live stream that you should walk away with and journal on and really contemplate is, are you being right now who your soul is calling you to be? And if you don't know, then it's time to start talking to your soul. It's time to ask. Because I promise you this, if you ask your soul to show you who you're meant to be, it will show you. It's not always going to be comfortable. It's not always going to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? But your soul will tell you. And yes, Aaliyah, your soul will kick your ass, especially if it's already told you what it wants you to be, and then you're continuing to choose to not be that person. Soul ain't having it, baby. Soul ain't having it. You will get the soul throat punch and ass kicking of your life, right? Your divine soul is not going to make things easy for you once you have a conscious awareness of what you're meant to be doing in the world. Things will get worse, and things will get significantly is not the word I'm looking for. Like, I don't have the word. It's because I was trying to think of what I was going to say next instead of just letting it flow. So then I lost the fucking word that was about to come out of my mouth. It's not continually. What's the word I'm looking for, you guys? They will step up in worseness until you follow your soul calling. What's the word I'm looking for? Things will get, I don't know. You guys get I think you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, even though I can't think of the fucking word that I want to say right now. Substantially, yes. Is that the word? It's close enough. Thank you. Progressively, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Anya. Oh, look, there's people on here that I didn't even know were here. Exponentially, all these are great words. All of these words, things will get all of these words worse if you choose to continue to not, progressively worse was what I was trying to think of. Incrementally, yes, that's good too. Substantially, yep, you guys have all got it. So enter that word worse if you choose to ignore the calling of your soul, especially once you're conscious of what it's meant to be. Because your soul isn't going to let you be comfortable not following your soul calling, because you're here with a divine mission. You're here with a purpose. You're here with a calling. And let me just tell you, I've gotten smacked in the fucking face by mine the last 48 hours, and in such a beautiful way, and in such an inspiring way. And I've been feeling since I woke up this morning, and all this stuff just happened to me yesterday. We're getting there, you guys. So hold, we're getting there. We're getting to good stuff. I woke up this morning feeling so much gratitude, but also so much excitement, because it's like, again, I'm telling you that I've been getting all these signs, and I'm going to tell you about some of them, but I've been getting all these signs, and it's like when you finally put that last piece of the puzzle in the puzzle, and then you have the whole puzzle. It's like so rewarding. You're like, there's the complete picture. I woke up this morning having the complete picture. I woke up this morning seeing the vision. I woke up this morning knowing that I have the capability now with what I know and what I have now to fulfill my actual divine mission, which is to change the wealth paradigm and to bring the people in my life and in my communities wealth. To actually enable them, not just teach them about wealth consciousness, but enable, like I have a vehicle now for them to cultivate and create wealth in their life. And I cannot even tell you how powerful that is and how grateful I am for that. And it's like I was so grateful for every moment over the last several years where I've just believed, where I've just done the thing whether or not I understood it, where I've just taken the piece of information, that little gem of information, and I've put it somewhere safe. Like every time that I've done that, not understanding, not knowing why it was there, not knowing why I was called to do something, I've just done it because my soul led me to do it. I was so grateful for all of those moments and for all of that trust and for that connection with my divine soul, because all of a sudden I could see the whole picture and the puzzle was complete, right? And I was like, holy shit. Like not just for me and my family, but for my community. And it's like, this is how I shift the wealth paradigm. This is how I actually create impact in people's lives financially. This is how I enable them to have money, right? This is how I help them create their own wealth, stability, safety, security, right? And it's a way for us to do it so that we can fulfill our purpose work at the same time. I mean, anyway, so I'm gonna get there, but it was gratitude. It was gratitude for doing everything I've been talking to you about in this live stream up until this point, which is trusting and following soul and listening to the soul calling and doing it even if you don't understand why you're doing it, right? So I want to talk to you a little bit about, I'm going to move into, sort of what's been happening in my life, because it's it's just a great, I can give you a real-time, real-life example of this in motion and this in work. So I'm just going to share with you, and I'm not even going to give you a timeline, but I'm going to share with you some of the signs and things that have been coming to me over the last 6 months. So, and longer than 6 months, right? Like so much longer than 6 months. But so much longer than 6 months ago, I decided that I've always been obsessed with self-mastery, but I decided that human design was going to be part of the self-mastery that I was going to do for myself. And I started learning about my own design, right? Really understanding who I am inside my human design. And this year, and I guess it was probably about 6 months ago, I decided that I really wanted to understand my clients' designs, because I knew that it was a way that I could help them. And I was seeing this crazy pattern. Here's part of the signs, right? I was seeing this crazy pattern with so many of my clients having 4 lines in their charts. 2s and 4s, 2s and 4s, 2s and 4s. So many of my clients having 2s and 4s. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, there's something here with me and people with 2 lines and 4 lines. And so I just started observing, right? And I started working with my cousin Alicia Baker even more closely in exploring human design. And I started taking some courses from Ra, the founder of Human Design. And I started reading more books on human design and just really started understanding the profile types more. And, the 4s just start showing up. The 4s are everywhere. The 4s are showing up in my life everywhere, right? Like my soul number is 44. Like I've always known that, but the 4s have just been everywhere. And so about 2 months ago, I wake up in the night from this dream, and the dream is literally about human design, and it's about a specific gate in human design, the 46 gate. And it's about a specific gate, and so it's 46.1. And like, so anyway, I'm not even gonna go into the whole dream, right? But it was like the 4, and then the other part of the dream was, and I literally had to get up and come over to my desk because I didn't have paper or pen by my bed, which I normally do, which is weird, but I had to get up and come write it down. And it was like, in my dream, I was being told, you are here to help 4 lines create wealth in all areas of their lives. Like, that is your fucking mission and purpose in this world. And I was like, that's so weird. Like, I had kind of been like, yeah, I know, like I have a lot of 2-4s in my field. Like, my husband's a 2-4. A lot of my private clients are 2-4s. And I was like, okay, but it's specifically the 4 line. And I was like, cool. So I messaged Alicia and I talked to her about it. And so she's like, oh, well, those are fixed profile lines. And she tells me a bunch of stuff about 4 lines, right? And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. But I still don't get it, right? But I'm like, I'm just going to hold on to that piece of information because I know at some point it's going to come to me. Just like all these other magical things. I'm writing this book, you guys, called You Can't Make This Shit Up. And it's going to be my 2nd book. It's going to come out after the Wealth Alchemy book, but I'm going to put all this shit in here because literally you cannot make it up how the signs show up in my life. So I'm like, okay, so I put that piece of information away, right? So I'm carrying 2 things with the 4 lines. So then I'm also working with Maria Portis, who's on this live stream right now. I work with Maria one-on-one, and receive a lot of divine guidance from her on my purpose and what I'm meant to be doing and what I'm here to do. And so all of the stuff that Maria's been channeling for me over the last several months have been about me, about me no longer being available for the people in my communities not to have money, like me no longer being available for people not being wildly financially abundant, not being richly abundant, which was part of the reason why this group was actually created, you guys, because rich abundance is something that came through in those channeling sessions with Maria. So all of it was just like, you're going to shift this, like you're going to change this. You are no longer available for people not being wealthy. You're no longer available for people being in financial struggle. So, at a surface level, it made sense to me because I'm like, well, yeah, my mission is to end financial slavery consciousness on this planet, to wake people up, to help people realize that they can step into a new wealth paradigm, to be empowered in their choices around what they're doing with their money and wealth creation and all this stuff, right? So at a surface level, it made sense, but I didn't really get the depth of it. Again, just one of those things though that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go put this in my little, it's in my little gem jar over here, right? I know at some point it's gonna come back to me. So my back goes out. Almost 3 weeks ago. 2.5 weeks ago, my back went out, right? And I could tell you so many things about this 4 thing. So Michelle Patrick, who I'm working really closely with on the immortality and health and wellness, wealth in health side of my business, we were having these like tandem dreams that were happening night to night. And she had a dream where we were at the base of this tree and we both had these seeds, and she had 4 seeds and I had 6 seeds in my hand, and people were coming to the tree to get the seeds from us, but every time they would take a seed it would replenish in our hands. So the 4, and Michelle is a 2-4 also, and so the 4 and the 4 seeds, and like there's so many things, like it's so crazy. I couldn't even tell them all to you if I sat here for 3 hours and talked. And I feel like I'm forgetting, but I'm just gonna go through and tell you the story now. So my back goes out, and a spiral practitioner, a fellow spiral practitioner that I don't know particularly well, but we did a trade. We did a trade, a wealth trade. Like I did a wealth clearing for her, and she did a manifestation clear for me about a year ago. So I'd known her through that because I had reached out in the spiral container that I was looking for somebody to do a manifestation clear for me, and she wanted some wealth work. So we did a trade. And hey Paula. And so this is a really good one. You should definitely catch the replay of all the beginning stuff if you're just popping on. So I didn't know her that well, but I posted about my back being hurt, and she reached out to me, and she was like, hey, she reached out for me for multiple reasons. She reached out to me because she was like, oh, I know this guy, this healer in Ubud, and I think he'd be really good for your back. And she was like, hey, but I got this new healing device, and I'm happy to do a session with you if you want. Have you heard of it? It's called Healy. And I was like, yeah, I've been hearing people talk about it, but not a lot, whatever. And she's like, yeah, it's bioresonance. Like, she starts to tell me how she's been treating herself with it and this pain that she has. And she was just like, so I'm happy to do a session for you if you want. And I'm like, yeah, great. And she's like, so she does the session with me and she shows me all the stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so fucking cool. I'm like, and I totally resonate with it right off the bat. And I'm like, well, when the world opens up, and she doesn't even say anything to me about like, you can sell this. Like, she doesn't say anything. She's just doing this healing for me, right? And I'm like, God, when the world opens up, I need to get one of these. Like, I want one of these machines, because she's showing me all the stuff that it does. And I'm like, this is fucking epic. I'm like, I need this machine in my life. And so she starts talking about all the programs that it does, and it like does meridian bioresonance, frequency healing in meridian systems, which is like all about what my new emotional clearing modality is about, right? The Chinese meridian systems. It does I Ching programming, which is all human design, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. I'm like, give me this machine. I need this machine. So she tells me about the machine, and she's like, yeah, it's $2,500, you know? And I was just like, all right, well, and she's like, you can get it right now. We can get it sent to you in Bali. And I was like, all right. And I'm like, well, I really want to like go have, like, I want to play around with it in person. I want to, you know, have a session. And so I decided I'm going to book a session with this healer up in Ubud, who also uses the device in addition to a whole bunch of other stuff. And he looks rad, and I want to go meet with him. And literally, like, over this week that my back went out, that first week, I had all these new epic healers introduced to me. And I'm just like, wow, like, as much as the back thing has sucked, again, these are the signs, right? As much as the back thing is sucked, I needed it to happen for all of this stuff to come into my life. All of these amazing epic healers that I've met, that work in all different types of healing, right? I've met this like incredible woman here in Bali that's like pure magic, like she's magic. And then Luciano up in Ubud, and then the Healy device. And so anyway, I'm like, yeah, well, when it comes to me, but I got a ping. So like literally, like I had this session with her, she did this healing on me, and I got a ping. And I was like, oh, I got the splenic hit. I was like, oh, I need to get one of these. Like, I need to have this machine in my life, right? And that was it. And then when she told me the price, I was like, okay, well, you know, maybe at the end of the month, I'll look at my finances and I'll decide if I want to invest $2,500 into this machine for myself, right? Like, I'm excited about it. And then I tell Sean about it, because I'm like, oh my God, it seems like it'd be so good for some of the stuff you've got going on. And so I did a little bit of research into the technology of it and the programs and whatever. And then it was just like, and then that was it. And then I was like, okay, yeah, cool, interesting, great, love it, super, like definitely getting one at some point. I'm concerned about how I'm going to get it in the mail right to Bali. Was thinking about that, like having somebody bring it over to me from Australia when the doors open up, or like having it sent DHL, which is like another $200. So I was just like, but I wasn't pressed. I wasn't pressed on it. And so I thought about it though, like it kept coming into my field of awareness, and it was weird because I wasn't seeing it anywhere. It just was like, it would pop in and be like, oh, and it was popping in. Like, the reason it was popping in was it kept pinging me around my clearing modality that I'm developing. I kept feeling like, oh, there's something there. Oh, there's something there. There's going to be something there that's going to assist in the healing modality. And I started taking myself through the signature program of the healing modality that's going to be called the Philosopher's Stone. And so all this transition and change is happening, and like I'm really paying attention. The element that I'm working in right now is water, which I told you was a conduit. So all kinds of things are happening to me because I'm literally in the middle of the integration of the water element clear right now, even as I'm talking to you, because I'm taking myself through the fire element today. I'm moving out of the water element and into the fire element today. But I've been in this whole, like, I've been literally in a whirlpool of spiritual and energetic charge for the last week and a half. So it keeps pinging me. Healy keeps pinging me. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Well, I get a message from a friend, and the friend is like, hey, have you heard about Healy? There's this epic promotion going on right now. And I was like, oh, I want one of those. I need to go see what this promotion is. So I messaged Catherine and I'm like, hey, what's going on with this promo on Healy right now? And she's like, oh yeah, you can get that device you wanted for $1,000 off. Sorry, I didn't reach out to you. And I'm like, what? $1,000 off? Sign me up. Like, give me that shit. Cause it had been pinging me. I got the Soul Yes. And she's like, okay. And I was like, listen, I've got a big deposit coming in tonight. Let's just, you know, is it still good till tomorrow? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. So just message me and we'll do it. Right. I'll get the device. We'll have it sent to your house. You can, DHL it to me. And I'm like, this makes sense, right? At this point, because I'm like, fuck, if I can save $1,000 on the device, which was like $2,500 US, I'm like, I can get it for $1,500. It's fucking epic. I already know because my spleen is going crazy that I need to have it. I know that it's going to be epic for this healing modality, whatever. So that's where I was. And so she messages me yesterday morning and she's like, and I sign up and I buy the device and we do all the thing. And as we're getting off the call, she says, you know, the promo's going on until, she thought last night, the promo's going on until tonight if you have anyone that, you know, you want to sign up. And I was like, oh, I'm not selling it. I'm like, I'm not going to sell it. That's not my thing. I'm not, you know, I don't do multi-level marketing. I just don't. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. I use tons of MLM products that I stand by and love and are amazing, like, you know, every day in my life, right? Including Kangen water. So I had people trying to get me into like the whole Kangen situation a few years ago, right? Like I use tons, but I'm just like, oh no, I'm not here for that, you know? And she was like, okay, well, yeah, no problem, you know, but just if you do have anyone, it's a really great promo, so you should talk to them about it. And literally it was like a fucking lightning bolt came through me. It was like, and she goes, oh, and they're getting ready to open up the United States. And I was like, the United States isn't open? And she was like, no. And I was like, oh. Literally this lightning bolt comes through me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. The United States isn't open yet. She tells me about the comp plan. She shares with me where I am in the scheme of things as far as, you know, the founder of the company and where I am. And I was like sitting there with my mouth open. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah, so I fully get this MLM thing. I have friends who have made millions of dollars in MLMs that got in at the beginning, right? And so I understand it. But I also am a bit turned off by it because I grew up in Utah and everything was an MLM. And I'm just like, like there's this very sleazy component of it, right? That I like generally don't want anything to do with. And I started thinking about this device and I saw the comp plan and I went, I already know that this device saves lives. I already know that this device is changing lives. And I was like, okay, I need to think about this. And so I went and I talked to my husband and I said, listen, I signed up for this thing. I got this device. I got that device I was telling you about. I think we should create a global team. And he's like, what? Because like, not me, right? Like, so not me. And I'm like, on my path, I've got my shit. I'm like, whatever. But I was given a vision. I was literally shown a vision of how I could build this global team in integrity, from a place of integrity, and help people reach their safety, stability, and security numbers, have money to be able to focus on doing their purpose work. And literally it was like fucking Tetris happened. Like everything fell into place. All the fucking signs, of which I've just barely told you a few, started making sense. And I'm like, oh my God, this is how I create wealth. This is how I help people create wealth. And for me, I'm like, okay, I already know that it's an epic machine. I already know the things it can do for the body. I mean, like, it's FDA approved. It's, you know, it is the availability, like, it's coming to the United States on May 1st, like next weekend, next Friday, it's launching in the United States. It's already available in 42 countries. Like, and I was like, holy shit. Like, can I, from a place of integrity and build a global network with this and bring wealth to people? And obviously a revenue stream to myself, but the thing that I feel like is missing in so much of this stuff that we see that comes out into the world is the spiritual component, the spiritual perspective, the spiritual being in our integrity with our divine soul. And the vision that I had was this global branch of this company that is completely in spiritual integrity and isn't fighting and squabbling over leads and referrals, but is literally supporting each other to a new wealth paradigm. And it was, I mean, it's like I'm shaking over it. I'm like, I just am overwhelmed and filled with gratitude and so fucking excited about this. And I couldn't do it, right? Like I couldn't do this on my own because I have this amazing, beautiful business that I'm running. But my husband is a 2-4. And he's like, I will do this. I will do it. He's a people person. He builds teams. Like that's literally what he does. He's like, I will do it. I will do this. And you just do what you do, which is talk about it and promote it, and you talk about how it's changing your life. But so then I was talking to Maria, and then Maria decided to join us, and then Maria was like sending me the clips of all the downloads that we've been given, and she's like, this is it. Alicia messages me, and I posted a thing about like, who are my MLM people. Alicia messages me and says, you know who's hugely successful in MLMs? Who Ra, who's the founder of Human Design, calls the MLM line and number? Who can guess? Who can guess what the Human Design line number is that Ra, the founder of Human Design, said are the people that are successful in MLMs? What's the number? I'm waiting. Post the number. Someone comment the number. What's the profile line number of the MLM people? Four lines, right? So the 4 lines are the MLM people. The 2, if you're a 2 line, you're here to support, right? You're such an amazing supporter if you're a 2 line. Every line can do this, right? Every line can do it. It's not that any line can't do it, but 4 lines specifically. And I'm a 5-1, and I'm a 5 line, right? And so for me, like, I'm here to guide, I'm here to mirror. And so this is not to say that if you're not a 4 line, then I don't want you as part of this organization, or I don't want you to be a part of this, so that you can't be a part of this, you can't benefit from it. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is it was the sign of all signs, right? That I am here to help and guide 4 lines, right? That's what I'm here to do. As 5 lines, we are teachers. We have specific resonance with 4 lines because we are 5 lines. Like, this is what I'm here for. And this is actually how I can tangibly shift things. This is how I can put money in the bank accounts of my community, not just teach them how to do it for themselves, right? It's how I can support. I have the ability through my networks and connections to build a tremendous, amazing global team, right? And a team that is founded on and based on integrity, first and foremost, spiritual integrity, and uplifting each other and empowering each other, and no fucking crab bucket mentality, and no tall poppy syndrome, and, allowing the people that are builders that want to shine and go out and build to build, and those that are supporters that want to be there supporting to support, and everybody to become wildly fucking financially abundant doing it. And so here I am, right? Like, with this incredible personal bioresonance device that creates quantum health shifts to help bring infinite wealth to my community. And for me, you guys all know that wealth is about, for me, being wealthy is about being wealthy in all areas of our lives. It's all 5 bodies. And this may not be your purpose work. It might be. Some of you, it might be. Some of you, I've known so many of you are here to help me help other people build wealth. I just didn't know how, right? And I still have so much work to do in my purpose work as well. But for me, it's like, what is the thing that I'm constantly on about to you guys? Safety, stability, and security. Safety, stability, and security. Covering your bills, making sure you're taken care of, making sure your family is provided for. It's damn near impossible to be fully in purpose when you can't fucking pay your bills, when you're worried about how you're gonna put groceries on the table, when you're worried about how you're gonna pay your house payment. I have a way now to shift this. The comp plan in this is fucking incredible. So I'm not gonna go on and on and on about this, because if you guys are interested and if you wanna know more about this, we've started a separate group called Quantum Health Infinite Wealth, where we'll be sharing all the information about it. If you're curious, if you just wanna know more, if you're interested in more of the story, like definitely come join us in the group. But I share it here because one, it's what's on and what's happening in my life, and I'm fucking excited about it, and I literally like cannot wait to... Oh, and here's the other thing, you guys. I made my investment back already. So it's less than 24 hours later, and I made my investment into the device back. And so at this point, I've literally like paid for the device that I wanted to use personally because it's so amazing. But this is how I can create change. This is how I can support the organizations that I care about that need help in the world. But more importantly, it's how I can help you guys. It's how I can help my community. It's how I can help you get to your safety and stability and security numbers so you can actually go out and do your purpose work, unrestrained by the limitations that financial slavery consciousness has and holds over us, right? And I would not be in this place if I didn't trust and follow soul every step of the way. And it's days like today that I feel blessed and I feel blown away, and I feel like everything and anything is possible. That literally anything I can conceive of, anything I can dream of. I mean, the vision of me being able to uplift thousands of members of my community has been there for so long, to be able to help them financially, to be able to help them realize real true wealth, has been there for so long, but I haven't known how I was going to do it, right? And I just keep showing up. I've just been showing up and showing up and showing up, and I keep showing up, and I keep doing what's right in front of me, and I keep doing the things that I, believe are the right things for me to do. And then I'm handed the solution. It's like, here, this is how you're going to do it. This is how you're going to do it. And for me, it's like, we'll do it from a place of energy and vibration and frequency. And we will call in what we desire, and we will create infinite wealth. So that's what's on in my life. These are the results of answering your soul calling and listening when you get the ping and inquiring when something feels like it's meant to be. But also a reminder to you that, like, if something shows up and you're not quite sure where it fits, but you feel the alignment and you feel the resonance and you know it's soul led, just gather it up, go and take it and keep it safe, because it will make sense. It will show up for you. It will make sense. I promise. Sometimes it's years later, right? I've literally had it be years later. In most cases, it doesn't take that long. So I just dropped the link for the group, and Sean and I are going to be going live in there later today, talking about why we've decided to do this and how we're going to be building this team. I guess if you are in Australia, the thing that I would say to you is that there is a fucking incredible promo that is happening until 11 p.m. tonight, where you can get a significant amount of money off of your device if this is calling to you. So if it is, and you are like, yeah, I want in, then message me right away and I can get you some more information so you can make a decision or make an educated, ask me the questions or whatever. Because this promo they won't do a promo like this in Australia again. So like this was like this kind of launch promo, putting it out there. There won't be another one like this. But the other thing is if you're in the United States opens on next Friday, May 1st. So, it's unprecedented ability to get into an organization that's really doing things right at the top, and the entire United States is open, right? So, that's it. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Definitely join us over in Quantum Health Infinite Wealth if you want to know more. Like anything else that I do, you guys, there is no pressure here. It's an offer. It's an offer to you of something that I'm excited about, that I believe in, that I know is going to make this team of people that come together more money than they could even imagine, because that's what I'm holding and that's what I'm deciding. And I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about what can be created here. So that's it. I love you guys. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Please, please, please listen to your soul. Gather up all those little gems along the way. And for me, it's a constant coming back to that question. Am I being the person my soul is calling me to be today in this moment? And if not, fucking shift that and be that person. All right. I love you guys. Mwah! Talk to you soon.